Hi guys, welcome back. This is Sound Living in Oklahoma. My name is Katie Durfell and I serve the awesome people of the Oklahoma City metro area. So I wanted to come on today, and today we are going to talk about something that is going to affect your bottom line if you're selling a home, and that is closing costs. So I want to talk closing costs a little bit. How does it affect sellers? And I know people also have questions about buyers, and I'm actually going to go over the buying side closing costs here in probably another couple of weeks or so, but just know that that is coming. So today I want to talk about sellers. All right, so one of the most common mistakes that sellers tend to make when it comes to listing their home is the fact that they don't, or they forget to maybe budget closing costs, and that can really kind of blindside them in the very end, because if you're not going to budget it, then it might be an unexpected cost that can really affect your bottom line and what you're actually end up taking home from the sale. So I wanted to kind of give you a little example. Okay, so the truth is, sellers in Oklahoma, you can expect, and I like to estimate about 7 or 8% of the sales price of the home. You can expect to pay that in closing costs, and that is after the mortgage payoff and all that kind of stuff. So 7 or 8%. Okay, so let's do a little bit of math. If you are selling your home for $200,000, that means if we kind of split the difference and go 7.5%, that means you're going to be paying about $15,000 in closing costs the day of closing. Okay, and so on the day of closing, if you have equity in your home, then that number is going to be deducted from your equity. And so a lot of times sellers really don't even have to bring money to closing. It's just kind of deducted from that. So there are some instances where sellers will have to bring money to closing. It just kind of depends on your situation, okay? And I feel like the most frustrating part about closing costs is that it's so variable. There are so many things that go into calculating it. And it really just depends on everyone's situation. So it's hard to give an estimate, but if you are able to talk with licensed professionals, local experts in the area like myself, we can give you a breakdown that gives you a good idea of what to expect. And that way, when you get to closing, then you're not totally shocked, right? So like I said, it kind of depends, but there are certain ways that we can go about giving you a good idea. So, all right, so a few things. Number one is, before you list your property, please make sure that you are talking with a local expert, a licensed professional in the area, like myself, or if you know a trusted realtor in the area that you know, they are going to be able to help you, just guide you through the process. I know I have a lot of different resources that I can offer my sellers, things like the seller net sheet, which is kind of the breakdown, the estimate of what might be on your closing costs, what those might look like, a check. I have a seller's guide that I like to give, a roadmap to help you understand what the whole process looks like. And those types of things. So I feel like the more you understand, the better the process goes, and the easier it is, and the less kind of anxiety that you might feel. So I feel like that's the first step, is to really just get in contact with a local trusted expert. So that's step one. Step two is, once you have identified that person, is to just talk with them and make sure that they are breaking down and giving you a good budget. So if you are in an Oklahoma market, here are some things that you might see, most likely you'll see on your closing costs. So let me give you a list. Number one we've talked about is the mortgage payoff. This is going to depend depending on when you bought your house, how long have you owned it, how much did you pay for it, and those types of things. So that is going to be different for every single person. Okay. Another thing is the realtor commissions. So as a seller, you are going to be responsible for both sides of the transaction, the selling and the buying side, those two realtor commission fees. Okay. And again, that is variable. That kind of depends on what you've negotiated with your realtor. Okay. Another thing is transfer taxes. This really kind of varies. So it's another reason why it's kind of hard to give a solid, quick, clean estimate. So transfer taxes are on there. Owner's title insurance is another. So this will protect against any issues that might come up in the title search and in the transfer of that title. Another one are just the escrow fees. Again, this is with the title company, and this fee is actually usually split between the buyer and the seller. Property taxes, this is going to be a prorated number, so you will pay property taxes up until the day of closing, and then the buyer will pay the remaining for the remaining year. So that will depend on the time of year that you sell your home. If you sell it early on in the year, you'll pay less, and if you sell it later in the year, you'll pay more. And another one is HOA fees. So if you live in a community with an HOA, typically these are also prorated, so you will pay up until closing, and the buyer will pay for the rest. So, okay, so then step 3, the third thing to think about is really just the unexpected. You want to factor in and budget for unexpected things. So let me give you an example. Some unexpected things are, let's say your house sits on the market for too long. So there's less interest in your home. A lot of times you might have to budget in some incentives for potential buyers. So this might include paying for some of the buyer's closing costs, or making certain repairs, or credits for certain updates, and these types of things. So those sorts of things just to help a buyer who might not otherwise have the cash to do that. So, and we see this also in times where it's a buyer's market. There's not as much competition. You aren't getting as many buyers through your home. And so again, it just kind of depends on a lot of different factors. So just remember that. All right. So just remember to be sure to plan ahead, okay? If you're failing to plan ahead, then it really can affect the bottom line once you end up selling your house. So make sure that you are creating a plan, creating a budget, and you're moving forward with that. So anyways, at this point, if you are having any questions, or if you're thinking you're wanting to sell your house, you don't really know where to start, then I want you to either comment below or shoot me a message, and I am happy to help you at any time. So, no pressure at all. I'm just here to help and give you the answers that you need. So if you do have questions, please make sure you're commenting or finding a way to get a hold of me. I think my contact info is on my business page, or you can also just direct message me on here. So just a couple of ways to get a hold of me. All right, before we wrap up here, I do want to mention that I do have my business page, and if you are not already a part, then I want you to please join us. So on my page, I do a lot of fun things. I post weekly about all the fun events going on. I like to highlight certain businesses in the community. Most of the time I like to feature local or small businesses. So, hopefully that way you can learn things about your community that you didn't know before. So one of my big passions is just connecting people with their community. So if you haven't already joined, like and follow my business page. It's Sound Living in OK. And if if I don't see any questions from anyone on here. So like I said, if you do have any questions, if you need anything, please feel free to reach out, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.